The Grinch Who Got Hacked. In the bustling city of Evergreen, there lived a man named Greg Ingram, better known online as the Grinch. He was a reclusive tech genius whose talents were used for all the wrong reasons. Greg despised Christmas and everything it stood for. The carols, the lights, the cheesy movies. To him, it was all fake happiness, wrapped in garish paper and shoved in people's faces. But Greg didn't just avoid Christmas, he actively sabotaged it. Over the years, he'd crashed charity websites, spammed neighborhood forums with fake complaints, and even managed to knock out the city's main Christmas tree lights one year. He lived in a cold, dim apartment, surrounded by computer screens. The only light came from the glow of his monitors as he reveled in his latest mischief. The hack. One frosty morning in December, Greg woke to find all his screens flashing a single message: "You've been hacked. Merry Christmas." Greg's heart raced. No one hacked him. He scrambled to regain control, typing commands furiously, but nothing worked. A video feed popped up, and on the screen appeared a teenage girl in a Santa hat, her face bright with amusement. "Hi, Grinchy," she chirped. "I'm Ella, and before you try anything, let me save you some time. I've encrypted your files, but don't worry, I'll give them back. If, and only if, you do exactly what I say." Greg's jaw clenched. "What do you want? Money?" Ella laughed. "Money? No, what I want is for you to stop ruining Christmas. You're going to help me spread joy instead. I've got 3 tasks for you to complete by Christmas Eve. Fail, and your precious files go bye-bye." Greg glared at her. "Why are you doing this?" Ella's grin faded slightly. "Because you crashed our Toy Drive's website last week. Do you know how many kids almost didn't get presents because of you?" Greg's initial anger faltered. He hadn't thought much about the consequences of his pranks, but he wasn't about to admit that. Instead, he muttered, "Fine, let's get this over with. Task 1. Fix what you broke." Ella's first challenge sent Greg to the Evergreen Community Center, where the Toy Drive sign-up system was still offline thanks to him. He arrived reluctantly, carrying his laptop in one hand and his ever-present scowl in the other. Inside, he was greeted by a frazzled volunteer who handed him a cup of cocoa and said, "Thank goodness you're here. We've been trying to fix this for days." Greg rolled his eyes but got to work. As he typed away, he couldn't help overhearing the excited chatter of kids nearby. "I hope I get a train set," said one boy. "I want a doll that looks like me," chimed a little girl. For the first time in years, Greg felt a flicker of guilt. He finished the repairs faster than expected, and even helped the volunteers organize the sign-up sheets. As he was leaving, a boy tugged on his sleeve. "Are you one of Santa's helpers?" Greg almost laughed. "Something like that," he muttered. Task 2. Spread some cheer. Ella's next challenge was to help decorate the pediatric ward at the local hospital. Greg resisted at first, muttering about how he wasn't a handyman, but Ella reminded him of her hold over his files, so off he went. The ward was filled with kids battling illnesses, some hooked up to machines, others too weak to get out of bed. Nurses handed Greg boxes of tinsel, ornaments, and strings of lights. He worked silently at first, hanging decorations with robotic efficiency. Then a little girl in a wheelchair rolled up to him. "Can you help me hang this star?" she asked. Greg hesitated. "I'm not good at this kind of thing," he said gruffly. The girl smiled. "That's okay. Just try." He took the star and placed it carefully at the top of the tree. The girl clapped, her face lighting up with joy. For the rest of the day, Greg found himself actually enjoying the work. By the time the ward was fully decorated, he felt an unfamiliar warmth in his chest. Task 3. The power of giving. The final task was the hardest. Ella handed Greg a list of struggling families and a budget, instructing him to buy and deliver gifts anonymously. At first, Greg scoffed. "I don't know anything about shopping for kids." "Google it," Ella said, smirking. Greg begrudgingly wandered through stores, studying toy aisles and picking out items that matched the descriptions on Ella's list. As he chose a warm coat for a single mom and a set of art supplies for a teenage girl, he began to feel something he hadn't in years: purpose. Delivering the gifts was an adventure in itself. Greg crept up to doorsteps like a modern-day Santa, leaving the packages and sneaking away before anyone could see him. At one house, he paused to peek through the window and saw a family opening the gifts he had left. Their laughter and tears of joy struck a chord deep within him. The transformation. On Christmas Eve, Greg completed the final task and received a message from Ella. "Congrats, Grinchy. Your files are back. But I think you're better off now than you were before." Greg chuckled, shaking his head. "You're a pain, you know that." Ella appeared on his screen one last time, her grin wide. "Merry Christmas, Greg." That night, Greg attended the community Christmas party he once mocked. When Ella introduced herself in person, Greg smiled a real, unforced smile. From that day forward, Greg used his tech skills for good. He became Evergreen's secret Santa, hacking systems, not to ruin Christmas, but to make it brighter. And just like that, the Grinch 2.0 was born, a man who learned that even the coldest hearts can be warmed by a little holiday cheer. Subscribe for daily uplifting stories, and let's fill each day with positivity and warmth. Wishing you the happiest holidays.